Good afternoon. My name is John Daly, and I'm here to talk to you today about what to wear to your interview and how to appear for an interview. There's certain things that you definitely want to do to make sure that you have prepared yourself well. You've prepared yourself by filling out the application and by doing the resume that you've worked very hard on, I'm sure, and a cover letter. And now it's time to go to the actual interview. And it's very important to the way you present yourself. You want to have a neat appearance, that's for sure. And one thing that you want to make sure of is that your hands and your fingernails are clean. Make sure that you've scrubbed your hands. If you have any stains on them or whatever, you can take a little bit of water and a little bit of Clorox bleach and just a little bit of bleach and put your hands in that for a few minutes and then scrub your hands and take a lemon and rub a lemon all over your hands, and that will kill the smell of the bleach. And so you won't know that you've soaked your hands in bleach. You only have to do that if you have stains or oil or from working on your car or something like that. Or if you have nail polish on, ladies or gentlemen, what you want to do is make sure that your nail polish is not chipped. You don't want chipped nail polish. Either take off the nail polish or put on a new fresh coat. Make sure that your breath is clean and you brushed your teeth before an interview. If you've gone and had lunch before your interview, make sure that you haven't eaten garlic or something that's offensive, onions. You don't want to blow the person away from you that's giving you the interview. And you want to make sure that your breath is fresh and clean. Do not chew gum during an interview. That's a very bad thing to do. If you want to chew gum before you go into the interview, okay, but get rid of the gum before you have the actual interview. It's very important that your breath is fresh. Your hair should be combed and looking good and together. You should have a fresh smell, so you should definitely be wearing deodorant. Do not wear cologne or perfume. You don't want to do that because a lot of people are allergic to it and you don't want to offend them in any way. Also, our sense of smell is really very close in our brain to our memory. And so if you're wearing a cologne or a perfume that reminds somebody of something that doesn't, they don't want to remember. Like, for instance, my mother wore cologne all of her life and all of my life, that she wore the same cologne. I can smell that cologne walking down the street. If somebody on the same block is wearing that perfume, I can smell it. And I go immediately to my mom in my head. When I do that, I have a very good memory of my mother, but a lot of people would not. And that could be an actual turnoff to somebody. So you want to be very careful about that. You want to have nice clothing on. It doesn't have to be expensive clothing. It should be clean and ironed and looking sharp and crisp and clean. But it doesn't have to be expensive clothes. And you want to make sure that your shoes are clean. If they're a shoe that takes a polish, they should get rid of all the scuffs on them and put a fresh coat of shoe polish on. Or if they're tennis shoes or something like that, make sure that you've wiped them down with a damp cloth so that they are nice and clean. Dressing to impress is not about how expensive the clothing is, but how you put together you look. So it's a good idea to wear, I think, a collared shirt for gentlemen And ladies, a blouse or something along that line, or a dress that does not show a lot of cleavage. We'll talk about that further on, but dressing to impress isn't about how expensive the clothing is. Be professional. Be the best possible you. Present the best possible you that you possibly can. Like the guy on the left-hand side here has on a shirt and a tie, but the shirt hasn't been ironed. The tie is all a mess. His hair is a mess. He's got all the right pieces put together, but he doesn't look as good as the guy on the right, because the guy on the right is all put together and wearing an iron shirt, and his tie is pulled up nice, and his hair is all combed nicely as well. So that sloppiness goes, if you go into an interview dressed sloppy like the guy on the left, then the person that's interviewing you is going to think that you're going to be sloppy with your work. So you don't want to do that. Just keep it simple. Sometimes less is more. So just a real simple look of dressing, a nice shirt or a blouse, a simple blouse for the ladies. It's got a little detail on the sleeve. Notice that she's not wearing a lot of jewelry. She's only wearing a watch, and that's enough. And the same thing with the gentleman. He's got a nice tie on and an iron shirt. Utilizing accessories. If you find yourself in hard financial situation, buy accessories that will make old outfits look new. Like you could buy a new belt or a tie or a vest, wear a vest with the same clothes, bracelets, not a lot of bangles though, and earrings, nothing too pronounced as far as the earrings are concerned. You don't want to take away from you. And perhaps if you have an outfit, ladies, you could add a scarf to the outfit, and it would change the whole look of what you're looking for, or what you're dressed for. Go for a conservative look, not a flashy one. So I suggest that if you're looking for a job, a really good outfit to wear is a pair of black pants, or ladies, a black pants or a black skirt, and the skirt should be long down to your knees anyway, or just above your knee, not a real short skirt. And that and a white shirt or white blouse is a really good base for anything. You can take that and dress it up or dress it down. If you want to, just while you're looking for a job, just keep that in your closet for you to go on job interviews in. If you get the same, if you go for a second interview to a place, you can wear the same clothes that you wore the first time, but maybe add a tie to it, gentlemen or ladies, or a belt, change your belt and your shoes, or maybe put on a vest or a sweater, something along that line, to just give the look a new, fresh look. But once again, stay more on the conservative side. See this guy here, he's got on the left-hand side, he's wearing a shirt and a pair of khaki slacks, and he's got on a casual belt and casual shoes. So he's got one look there, but on the other side, he looks entirely different. And all he did was, I know his shirt is a different color blue, but he could have just added a tie, and he changed out his belt for a more dress belt and dress shoes. but he's got a whole different look just by the shoes and the belt and the tie. So accessories can really do a lot for you. What you should not wear, guys, is you don't want to wear a shirt with an inappropriate message on it. You don't want to wear clothing that is too tight, or you don't want to wear clothing that is too loose and baggy. You don't want to wear cut-off jeans or cut-off pants or shorts, and clothing that is too baggy, as I said before. Never wear flip-flops to a job interview, or hats or a hood. You don't want to cover your head with anything. If you do go into a job interview with a hat on, make sure you take the hat off. And that presents another problem sometimes with hat hair, hat hair. And your hair is all messy from being in a hat. So it's just in better taste not to wear a hat. And it's more polite. You shouldn't really wear a hat indoors anyway. Ladies, what you don't want to wear is a see-through or low-cut blouse or dress. You don't want to have anything that's see-through. It may be fine for a date, or if you're just out and about going somewhere, but you don't want to wear that to an interview. Or a strapless dress you wouldn't want to wear. Heels that are really hard to walk in. If you're not used to walking in heels, don't wear heels to a job interview for the first time, because you'll go wobbling and it will just make you more nervous than if you were not wearing the heels. You don't want to wear clothing that is too tight. You don't want to show too much of your figure. It's, of course, depending upon where you're going to apply for a job, but you want to be careful about that. You don't want to wear anything that is sexy or suggestive or revealing. So be careful with that. You don't want to wear shoes that make a slapping noise when you're walking on wood floors. So sandals and things like that, you want to be careful of. Do not wear flip-flops. If you want to wear sandals, you could wear sandals, but make sure that you've had a pedicure before you do that, because there's nothing worse than dry and scaly feet, or toenails that are half painted and half not, or chipped toenails. You want to be careful about that. And also, you don't want to wear a hat to an interview. It takes away from you. You don't, I know that a lot of people wear hats to make a statement, but this is not the time to make the statement. You want to fit into the culture of where you're going. When you are getting ready to interview with a company, it's a good idea to make sure that your attire is appropriate for the company that you're going to work for. And the way you can find that out is look them up online, and they may have pictures of people working, and look at how they're dressed. Try and dress according to how they dress in their workplace, so you look like you fit in before you even fit in. So on the next slide, you're going to see different pictures, and we're going to talk about whether they're appropriate. The pictures are appropriate for a first interview. Remember, it's a first interview with a company. For the ones that you find inappropriate, tell me what you think is missing or why it wouldn't be proper for interview attire. Remember, this is a first interview. So we want to use the things that I've talked about. So what to wear, what not to wear. You see this lady on the left-hand side is dressed very conservatively, but dressed very nicely, and so is the gentleman. The people on the right-hand side are not dressed appropriately for a job interview. They look appropriate for the tennis court or out on the beach, something like that, but not anything for a job interview. If we go through these pictures, picture number 1 would not be appropriate for an interview. She looks a little too casual. She's just not dressed appropriately for an interview. Number 2 is dressed perfectly for an interview. If she's going to a business or something, a law firm or a bank or something like that, she's dressed appropriately. Number three would be fine if she had a jacket over the shirt. The shirt has, or the blouse, the sleeves are a little bit short for being appropriate. So she's almost there. And if she has a sweater or a jacket to put over that, then she would be fine. Number 4 is overdressed. And she looks like she's going out on a date or going out for a girls' night or something like that. I wouldn't suggest wearing anything like that. She's just doesn't look appropriate for a job interview. Number 5 is definitely not appropriate for a job interview. She looks nice, but she doesn't look appropriate for a first job interview. She looks a little too casual. And number 6 is also way too casual for a job interview. Number 7, she looks beautiful, absolutely, but I don't think that she is appropriate for a job interview. She's just looking a little too sexy and suggestive. I wouldn't approve of that for a first interview. Number 8 is almost there too, just like number 3. She shouldn't be carrying such a large bag. You don't want to carry a large bag or a backpack or something like that to an interview. If she were to button up her blouse more and had a smaller bag, she would be fine for a job interview. If she was going to a retail store or something like that, not if she was going to a bank. If she was going to a bank or a law firm or a business that the men wear suit and tie, or even open shirt and a jacket, I would say you want to be more along the line of number 2. And here are the guys. And when we look at the guys, we've got number 1. He is dressed pretty appropriately, and he could be going for a job interview if it was a casual situation. He's got a collared shirt on. If he was going to a place like a McDonald's or Wendy's or something along that line, he would be fine. Number 2 is definitely not right. He has got sunglasses on, which is not a good idea, and his shoes don't go with the rest of his outfit. He is just too cool for school and not looking good. And number 3 is he looks like he's a farmhand. And not that there's anything wrong with being a farmhand, but he's not dressed for an interview. If he was going to go to work on a farm, then maybe he would be acceptable. And at the same time, you look at number 4. Number 4 is dressed very appropriately for a job interview, but you wouldn't want number 4 to go to a job interview if he was going to work in the agricultural world, because he just looks a little too formal. I would say it'd be more like the number 5 or number 1 if you were going for that kind of a job, or number 3. Number 6 is he's dressed fine for any place, really, pretty much, except he would be overdressed if he was going into a retail store, or he looks like he could be going to a car salesman. And that would work really well for that kind of a job. Number 7, I think, is dressed a little too baggy. I think his clothes are too baggy, and they're just not attractive on him. He's not pulled together. And number 8 is fine. So when you look at all of these different people, I think the only one that really jumps out at me that would not be appropriate would be number 2 and number 3. Tattoos and piercings. If you have piercings, they should be removed. If they're on your face or something like that, you should remove the piercings. If you have pierced ears, that's fine that you have pierced ears, but what you want to do is only wear one set of earrings at a time. Don't wear more than one set of earrings in each ear. And tattoos, I think, should be covered up. There are some people that just do not like tattoos. And I know you might be saying, well, if they don't like tattoos, I wouldn't want to work for them. Remember, we're talking about a first interview. So be careful on how you come across. You might be fine showing your tattoos once you've got the job, but I think it's a smart idea to hide your tattoos until then. Look at this guy, he's the same man. And one side, he looks very professional, and the other side, he doesn't look professional at all. So you would want to definitely go with the one on the left. Not that you're going to be a doctor, but if this was a doctor and the guy on the right said to me, well, Mr. Daly, we got to remove your gallbladder, I would be more likely to say, I think I'll get a second opinion, than if the guy on the left said that to me. It's just in how you are presenting yourself. Remember, I'm talking about a first interview. So important that you remember that. We talked about cologne and perfume already. You want to be very careful. Do not wear it. Okay? Always use deodorant. And the reason you want to always use deodorant is you get nervous when you go to a job interview, and when we get nervous, we as human beings exude odors that repel people from us. And that's built in our humanness. But we don't want to repel a person that is taking their time to interview us. We want to have them be attracted to us rather than detracted from us. So be sure you wear deodorant to whenever you go to a job interview. What to avoid? Gentlemen, if you're wearing a suit or a nice slacks and a shirt, you don't want to wear white socks because they're sports socks, and you wouldn't want to wear them. You'd want to wear dark socks. Never button the bottom button of a sport jacket or a suit coat or a vest. And when you sit down, unbutton all the buttons, because otherwise what the jacket does is ride up on you and it looks like you're in a straitjacket. Ladies, limit the amount of jewelry that you wear. And the same with gentlemen. You want to be careful of the amount of jewelry that you're wearing. And don't overdo your makeup, ladies. You remember to wear daytime makeup, not nighttime going out on the town kind of makeup, okay? Above all else, you want to be clean, you want to be neat, and you want to be fresh. Those are the important things to be when you go to a job interview. Now we're going to switch gears. And I'm going to totally talk about a different thing completely. And that's going to be about financials and check writing and credit cards and debit cards. So I'm going to speak not as a banker, but as a layperson, a person just like you and you. I'm assuming that it's just like you, about how to write a check and how to use credit cards and debit cards. First of all, when you order your checks, this is what a check looks like. And up in the upper left-hand corner, you have your name, your address, your street address, and your telephone number. I suggest that you put your telephone number because people are going to ask you for it anyway. Just have it printed on the check. And then you have across from that a place for the date. And the check number is up in the upper right-hand corner. And that's important that you will list that into your check register. You write to who the check is for on pay to the order of whoever it is for, and then you write the dollar amount. When you're writing the dollar amount in, start off as close to the dollar sign as possible, so someone can't change the amount of money that you write the check for. And then you have to match that number that you've written out with the letters in spelling out the amount of money for the check. So if it's $10 check, you would write the one right close to the dollar sign, and then 0.00, and then write $10 only, or $10 and no 100s, and then scribble to the end of till you get to dollars, so someone can't change that. Then you want to do in the memo what the check is for. Now, you need to know if you're going to have your paychecks go directly into your bank account. You want to know your routing number, and those are the first series of numbers on your check, and then your account number. And that's where you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be your account number. And then the 0301 is the check number that you've got. And that sometimes is not there. Sometimes they don't put that until the very end of the check down here. Okay, and then do your signature here. So you see how this is typed out. And if a check is typed out, usually you don't have to be so concerned about being as close to the dollar sign as I said when you're writing it, because somebody isn't going to take this check and type it in. $10,050 exactly. That works the same as $10,050 only, or $10,050 with no 100s. And that's for your fall tuition in school. And your date is up here, and then your signature. what is a check register? A check register is a way to balance your checking account. It helps you keep track of your account balance, which is very important. It ensures that the bank did not make any mistake with your account, and it keeps accurate track of all deposits and withdrawals. So every time you write a check, when you write a check, we started out with $15,000 on this account. As you can see up at the very top. Oh, sorry. I changed over from that. I apologize. When you look at this check, you see that this is written to Southern California Gas Company for $36.45. Once again, these are typed out. So, but it shows you the different way that you can write $36.45 100s. And that's for your January gas bill. So the written dollar amount must always match the numerical dollar amount. If it doesn't match, the bank will not recognize the check or not accept the check. Here we are again with another work with the check register. You've got a check written for $1,250 and you've got a $15,000 balance or balance before you write the check, and you subtract the $12,000 or $1,250 from the $15,000 and you have $13,750. And then you write your next check for $36.45, you subtract it, and you know that you have $13,713.55 in your checking account. It's important that you keep this to date also with a debit card. If you have a debit card on your checking account, you would want to write debit card across here and how much you spent and subtract it so you have your balance. You don't want to end up paying more for something because you did an overdraft. This is a credit card and the account number is, I'm sorry, I've messed this up. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. You see your credit card, you see the account number, and that's what you would use if you're buying something online or whatever. That is your credit card number. And the expiration date of the credit card. And then on the back of the card is a verification number. And those are the last three numbers of whatever number is in the back there. So that's basically when you're using this to go online, to buy something online, that's what they're going to ask for. And is the credit card number and the when the expiration date is, and they'll ask for the name as it appears on the card. And so this is L. Walker. And then the last three verification number, the last three numbers. Credit cards give you a line of credit that you can use even if you don't have the cash in your bank account. So that's a good thing. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover are some different credit cards. just some of them. There's many more. You're granted a line of credit dependent upon your income and other factors such as what your credit score is. And I'm going to go into a credit score in a few minutes. This line of credit must be paid off each month to avoid paying interest fees. So when you get a credit card, what you want to do is you want to pay off every time you charge something. If you're wanting to avoid paying interest, pay the entire bill off at the end of the month rather than what they say is the minimum payment due. But it's best if you pay the full balance because that saves you money. When you don't pay your statement balance in full, you accrue interest. And that interest runs every single month and every single day, actually, that you haven't paid off the balance. And you have to pay an annual fee for a credit card. Some credit cards will say there's no annual fee to avoid you paying an annual fee to start with, and they may say 0% interest for the first 90 days, but then you can bet that the interest rate is higher at the end than another credit card. A credit score is created when you get your very first credit card. And it's important that you treat that credit card with respect and pay it off, because your credit score is important to determine many factors, including buying a home, a car, or starting a business. All those things are important that you have a good credit score. And I'm going to talk more about a credit score in a few minutes. Credit cards often offer other rewards in exchange for the money you spend. Some credit cards will give money back automatically as you spend it, but it's just taken off your bill. It's not like they send you a check or anything like that. Always, a good thing about a credit card is it allows you to borrow money in times of need. So that's a plus. And I think it's important to keep a credit card around in case of emergency, so you have something to fall back on. Some credit cards give rewards such as miles on airlines or discounts in hotels, things like that. It helps you in tight situations. If you don't have the money and you need to borrow the money, it's a good way to borrow money as long as you're paying it back every month. It's important to do that if you can. Otherwise, pay as much as you can, not just the minimum payment. It's good for business expenses. If you have business expenses and you're working for a company and you're keeping track of your business expenses, maybe gasoline or something like that, it's a good time to use your credit card so you have the credit card statement to show to back up your expenses. Interest is deductible, which is a good thing. So anytime you're paying interest, it's deductible at the end of the year from your taxes. And another plus for having a credit card is you don't have to pay the money back right away. You can just make that minimum payment due, but you're paying interest on it. But it helps you get a loan based on your credit score. Once again, we're going to talk about credit score in just a minute. But what things that you have to worry about is security, internet fraud, somebody getting your credit card information, identity theft issues, risk of running up debt. You don't want to run up a lot of debt. High interest rates, cash advances are a different interest rate. So if you use your credit card, I'm just going to give you an example that is easy to follow. Not that this is necessarily something that you would do. But say your credit card interest rate is 10% on purchases. And then if you go and you take money out of an ATM with your credit card, then the interest rate jumps up to 25%. And it stays at 25% until you pay off the balance. That's the huge difference between borrowing money from a cash from an ATM. Do not use a credit card for an ATM because it costs you a lot of money. You don't want to do that. Another problem with the credit card is you've got a free money attitude because you're just putting plastic down and you don't feel like you're spending a lot of money. It's really something that you have to be acutely aware of. Here we go on credit scores. A credit score is a numerical expression from 0 to 850. It analyzes your credit worthiness. Lenders use credit scores to determine who qualifies for a loan, at what interest rate, and what are the credit limits. So having a good credit score, like up at 850, is the highest you can go. 300 is the worst. So you need to be careful of what your credit score is. You want to have a good credit score. Good credit score is from 660 to 719. And your credit score is based upon how often you make your payments to the credit card company and how much you pay to a credit card company and how you pay your other bills. Like if you get a car and you're paying for your car, always overpay on a car payment. If your car payment is $400 a month, try and eke out $500 a month and tell them that you want the extra $100 to go against the principal, not interest, because then you're bringing down the amount of money that's being charged against the amount of money that's being the interest on the principal, because you paid against the principal. An annual percentage rate of the credit card is the APR, describes the interest rate for the whole year. It's a finance charge expressed as an annual rate. Watch out for hidden costs involved in carrying a balance on a credit card. Interest charges raise the overall cost of using the credit card to purchase an item when you don't pay back the credit card company before the next statement. So for instance, if you see a sale and you decide, oh, I'm going to use my credit card to buy something that's 20% off, and you say, this is a great deal because it's 20% off, and you use your credit card to buy it, and then you don't pay off your credit card bill, you leave money on, you just pay your a minimum payment, then you get charged 25% interest or maybe 22% interest, and you've lost all the gain that you got from using your credit card. Does that make sense? That you've chewed up all the money that you saved from the sale item because of the interest rate involved. Here's what a credit card statement looks like. And here's you see the purchase for the annual percentage rate, the interest rate is 7.99. But if you take cash, it jumps to 19.74%, which is a huge difference. So you want to be extremely careful of that. Do not take money I can't say it enough. Do not take money from a credit out of an ATM with a credit card. It just costs you so much money. So stay away from that. Credit card, cash advance facts to know. I told you all about this already, that you don't want to pay that interest, the interest that is going to come out when you get cash out of the ATM. Cash advances often begin accruing interest at the time of withdrawal, meaning there's no grace period. So you don't have until the end of the month, and you've got to pay off your full balance. That 19% that we talked about before stays in stays in effect as long as you have a balance. So you have to pay even if you pay off the amount of cash that you took out. So be careful of that. When should you get a credit card? You should have a credit card for sure, because it is really good to build a credit score. And you need a credit score when you're going to rent a house or rent an apartment. They're going to ask for your credit, or they're going to see what your credit score is. And you want to have a good credit score in order to get into a place like that, or buy a car or rent a car. And another thing, an employer can check your credit score and find out if you have a good or a bad credit score. And if you have a bad credit score, they can say, this is somebody that we don't want to risk having work for us because they're not responsible. So it's very important to be careful with your credit score. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about debit cards. Debit cards are really great if you use a debit card for when you're using a debit card, it's good because you're not borrowing any money. And you're not borrowing money from the credit card company. This is all your own money. And if you're just using your own money, you don't pay interest rate or anything like that, which is a very good thing. And you don't want to pay an interest rate if you can avoid it. So, but it's very important when you're using your debit card that you write down the amount of money that you're spending. You don't want to go and use your debit card at Starbucks, for instance, and buy a latte that costs $7 and you only have $5 left in the bank. They will approve that and you'll get the latte, but they're going to charge you an overdraft fee of sometimes up to $30. So all of a sudden that latte didn't cost you $7, it cost you $37. And that's not a good thing. So you have to be careful with a debit card. A debit card is not building you your credit score. And that's one of the things that you don't is not good, because you're not the thing that you're saving is the fact that you're not paying interest. But it's important to know that you're not building a credit score. And debit cards are great because you don't need to carry cash. I know I keep a separate account for my debit card. I don't have it attached to my checking account. I got a separate checking account and I use that only for my debit card. I find that's much easier, and I put certain amounts of money into my debit card account every month, or a couple of times a month. I'll put money in to spend, and I know that's my spending money. that's better than carrying a lot of cash around. But I think that these are basics for you and they will help you in some way, I hope. And I wish you all the very best and good luck. And thank you so much.